Chrissy.
Yes.
This is the truth revealed. I maybe use some secret tools. That's what the video is about. How to crush the competition.
Okay.
They think, oh, you don't need to do anything, just show up with a thick wallet. I'm going to tell you how I use these techniques to win Chrissy's heart. You'll see whether she has enough interest and she's playful. You can encourage your Filipina to take the test.
I enjoyed that, and then that was the first experience that I ever had to test myself what kind of lover I am.
Did anybody ever ask you anything like that before?
No, this is very useful for someone that is looking for love.
You want to edge out those other suitors that are chasing after your beautiful Filipino. Ask her if she wants to play a game.
I stayed on the bed. I enjoyed it. That is a really good instrument.
At the end of that 4 hours, I was pretty convinced that I had found the love of my life. Today, we want to tell you how I was able to seduce a beautiful Filipina and make her fall in love with me. And I fell in love with her. And so, Chrissy,
Yes.
this is the truth revealed. I maybe use some secret tools to do it. And I'm going to share with people what my secrets were in how I seduced you.
Okay. I really don't have an idea what we're going to talk about right now, but okay.
Okay, so this is the way it works. When there's something highly attractive, you're not the only one who notices it. So as a man, when you see a really appealing Filipina online, guaranteed you're not the only man that noticed this gorgeous Filipina jumped on an online dating site and she's the one that's not out to scam you, she's for real. And so that's going to create a little bit of a problem because you got 30, 40, 50 days until you can get to the Philippines. Even if you're in the Philippines, there are other men on her phone list that want to take her out, that want to spend time with her, that are sending her messages on her Facebook page. There's relatives that are recommending boyfriends and husbands. When you have somebody really, really attractive that you've found, well, you've got some competition. You need to crush the competition. And I'm here to tell you how to do it. So that's what the video is about, how to crush the competition.
Okay.
Okay, so Chrissy, when we started video chatting, you know, I did some of the things I shared previously. I asked you about your topple because I didn't want to get involved with a woman who had like a crazy temper. So regardless of how beautiful and attractive a woman was, if she was going to be passive aggressive, I really wasn't interested. But once I did some of my preliminary chit chat and some of my preliminary question asking to figure out if you were real, and then it was like, oh my God, this person's real. What am I going to do? I have to, I'm worried that when I get off the phone with her, she's got to have 2 or 3 other men that are chasing after her, or 2 or 3 dozen. What can I do? Now, other men that are watching this, they think, oh, you don't need to do anything, just show up with a thick wallet. And, Filipinos will just fall in love with you. And, to some extent, that can be true. There is an economic advantage. And you can be thick or pointy, and they're probably going to like you if you're a real person and you've got some resources. But when you meet that one special woman, if you're fortunate enough to meet a really, really special Filipina, tonight I'm going to tell you how I use these techniques to win Chrissy's heart. And I fell in love with her too. It wasn't just trickery. We fell in love with each other that night. And this is sort of my method, and there's some science behind it. So let me go ahead and share the order of battle. So after your preliminary discussions, not necessarily on the first or second or even third video chat, but pretty early on, you want to start to identify each other's romantic profiles. Are you peaceful, fun-loving person? Are you hard-driven? You want to see whether there's a match there. It's kind of playful to start to talk to your Filipina about these things. You enjoy talking about those things, right?
Yeah.
It makes the guy you're talking to a little different than somebody just saying you come from a big family or, things like that. Tell me about your education. Tell me about where you live. They start talking about, what type of a potential romantic partner you are. What's your profile? So very easy, superficial level discussion. This broaches the subject and you'll see whether she has enough interest and she's playful. Now, the trial close is to talk about your love languages. Most of you have heard the 5 love languages. Does a person enjoy gift giving, or they have more of a preference for quality time? I'm not going to mention to you what the 5 love languages are, but you can go to 5lovelanguages.com and you can take the 5 love language test. It only takes like 3 minutes to take the test. You'll get the results. So while you're on a video chat or while you're on a call, you can encourage your Filipina to take the 5 love languages test and you can compare your results. You might find out you're not a great match because she might like gift giving and you might like quality time. But this is the trial close. You want to get her involved in this profile examination of romantic characteristics, and you want to engage with her in this conversation about the love languages. Normally, the Filipina will. Did you enjoy that?
I enjoyed that, and then that was the first experience that I ever had to test myself what kind of lover I am and how do I express love.
And other men you dated or other men you chatted on online apps, had anybody ever asked you anything like that before?
No, and I am even surprised with the result because I didn't know that there's a way for me to know what kind of lover and how do I show my love to someone.
Yeah. So you found it interesting and it set me a little bit different than other men you've spoken to.
It's very interesting, and that time I was like, this is very useful for someone that is looking for love and looking for a specific type of person that they want to have in their life.
Right. Previously, I talked about the color of personality, and that's just a nice broad overview to kind of start the conversation. Then we go to the love languages, and we ask the Filipina to take the test. You thought that was effective?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So now, if you really are motivated, and you're not a passport bro, because this takes a little bit of effort, you're going to fall in love yourself if you honestly engage in this process. So it's not just how to seduce a woman, it's how to fall in love with a woman. So guys, you want to crush the competition, you want to edge out those other suitors that are chasing after your beautiful Filipina or any woman that you're interested in. Once you've done that love language tease, now you need a few hours. You got to make sure you pick the right time. Ask her if she wants to play a game. We have 36 questions that lead to love. Now this is an article that was published January 9th, 2015 by Daniel Jones. He writes his article that covers an essay that was written by Mandy Len Petrone, modern love essay titled, "To Fall in Love with Anyone, Do This." In the article, the psychologist Arthur Aron explores whether intimacy between two strangers can be accelerated by having them ask each other specific series of personal questions. The 36 questions in the study are broken up into 3 sets, with each set intended to be more probing than the previous set. The idea is that mutual vulnerability fosters closeness. And to quote one of the authors, one key pattern associated with the development of close relationships among peers is sustained, escalating, reciprocal, personal self-disclosure. Allowing oneself to be vulnerable with another person can be exceedingly difficult. So this exercise forces the issue. So that's the idea. Pick a time when your Filipina or the woman you want to crush the competition with has a couple of hours. Chrissy, what do you remember when I suggested? I just said you want to play a game. I've got this 36 question questionnaire. Do you want to try it? What do you remember about it?
I remember I just woke up in the morning. So we started to talk and then I stayed on the bed until I think 1 p.m. my time. I skipped my breakfast, I skipped my lunch. I can't even feel hungry because I enjoyed it, and that is a really good instrument, questionnaires, to get to know the other person more. At
the end of that 4 hours, I was pretty convinced that I had found the love of my life and someone that was real. And, with online dating, that's the big challenge. Is that, you may be, out for a jog in the wrong direction, but I really was convinced. So it's escalating vulnerability, which is so difficult for people to do, to show vulnerable sides. So I'm just going to read some of these questions for you in as much detail as possible.
Do you have a superpower that you use to win your woman's heart? Share it with us. Comment down below.
Given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you want as a dinner guest?
Would you like to be famous? In what way?
Before making a telephone call, do you ever rehearse what you are going to say? Why?
What would constitute a perfect day for you?
When did you last sing to yourself? To somebody else?
If you were able to leave the age of 90 and retain either the mind or body of a 30-year-old for the last 60 years of your life, which would you want?
Do you have a secret hunch about how you will die?
Name 3 things you and your partner appear to have in common.
For what in your life do you feel most grateful?
If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be?
Take 4 minutes and tell your partner your life story in as much detail as possible.
If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be?
So that's the first set, guys. That's just the first layer of the onion. These are escalating stages of vulnerability. And that's the goal. We want to somehow reveal our vulnerable side and share at the same time. And now we're going to share set 2. If a crystal ball could tell you the truth about yourself, your life, the future of anything else, what would you want to know?
Is there something that you've dreamed of doing for a long time? Why haven't you done it?
What is the greatest accomplishment of your life?
What do you value the most in friendship?
What is your most treasured memory?
What is your most terrible memory?
If you knew that in 1 year you would die suddenly, would you change anything about the way you are now living? Why?
What does friendship mean to you?
What roles do love and affection play in your life?
Alternate sharing something you consider a positive characteristic of your partner. Share a total of 5 items.
How close and warm is your family? Do you feel your childhood was happier than most other people's?
How do you feel about your relationship with your mother?
Now, off to set 3. These are going to be even more vulnerabilities. Make 3 true we statements each. For instance, we are both in this room feeling...
If you were going to become a close friend with your partner, please share what would be important for him or her to know.
Tell your partner what you like about them. Be very honest this time, saying things that you might not say to someone you've just met.
When did you last cry in front of another person? By yourself?
Tell your partner something that you like about them already.
What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about?
If you were to die this evening with no opportunity to communicate with anyone, what would you most regret not having told someone? Why haven't you told them yet?
Your house, containing everything you own, catches fire. After saving your loved ones and pets, you have time to safely make a final dash to save any one item. What would it be? Why?
All of the people in your family whose death would you find most disturbing. Why?
Share a personal problem and ask your partner's advice on how he or she might handle it. Also, ask your partner to reflect back to you how you seem to be feeling about the problem you have chosen.
So there you have the 3 sets of questions, each designed to make more vulnerability and closeness available. So Chrissy, we did that, and it was so interesting. I still remember the answer you gave. What was too serious to be joked about? You said
Yes.
You said religion, and I've been biting my tongue now for months and months. I'm just not going there. What do you remember about that night? Those questions.
We shared a lot, and we knows what we want and what are some of our dislikes. I got to know you more, especially in your inner side, and I think that time is the time I feel very, very connected to you.
So, what do you think, Chrissy? The thumbnail of this video says "How to Seduce a Woman." Is that accurate? You think this is how to seduce a woman?
For me, you use that instrument not to seduce me, but to make me attach to you.
To crush the competition.
Because seduce is something like you can just show your something.
Animalistic. Yeah, that may be something like when you're out late and having a party. But really, it's how to win a woman's heart and how to actually fall in love and get to know the woman. It can be really difficult. Guys sometimes just don't know what to say, or we're rusty. It's been a while since we've been in a dating scene as an older fella. And so I believe in these questions. I read about them and I was just, wow, this sounds like such an awesome way to go and get to know another person. So I've held on to them and I used them with Chrissy, and I'm glad I did. Do you think it would work in person as well?
Of course it will work in by any means, like even if it's online dating, or you can ask your partner in person or answers.
You know, Chrissy, there's a fourth stage of this process that I didn't mention. You're supposed to stare for 4 minutes without talking in the other person's eyes. And because we were online and I was in South America and you were here, I didn't do it. But the authors say, you know, you need at least 2 minutes, but there's something magical that supposedly happens. So if you're doing this in person, you might want to try that after you've finished all 36 questions. Just stare in each other's eyes for 2 minutes and see if Cupid shoots his arrows. It might be, you know, the best way to seal the deal.
Yeah.